And I want to write my own lyrics. That was pretty good, my Scottish accent. Now, you tell me now. I had no idea. Oh my God, I feel old all of a sudden. Thank you. No, it's amazing. I never would have thunk it, as Laurie often says. Really, when I started the first I just made the first AYREON album. It wasn't even called AYREON. It was Arjen Lucassen with the album called AYREON with the subtitle Final Experiment. Because it wasn't an AYREON album, and it was called The Final Experiment because I was thinking it would be my final experiment. It would be really who's gonna like this weird mess of styles. The metal, the folk, the hard rock, the classic rock, prog, electronic, acoustic. Who's gonna like that? It's funny, after the 15 years before that, I was always trying to do what I thought that people wanted to hear. And then finally you do something you like yourself and you get success, So maybe that's a lesson or a lesson, something for starting musicians now, just do what you're good at, because people will feel that. Well, as I said, the first album was a solo album, and the title was AYREON. And then it became a success, and no one expected it. I didn't, the record company didn't, no one did, but it was a success, a mild success. It wasn't like hundreds of thousands of albums, but it was still like a lot of albums. And then of course the record company came to me and said, well, we want a second one. And I was like, yeah, second one, AYREON is the name of the album. It's like the Who recording Tommy, and they're not gonna call themselves Tommy all of a sudden. They're gonna but in the end I gave in, and I thought, okay, let's take AYREON as a project name, but I don't want to repeat myself, and I'm gonna do something very different. And the record company was like, okay. And then they got Actual Fantasy, which was very different. It wasn't a concept. It was a concept. Concept was fantasy, but it wasn't a story, a continuing story. And it didn't have all these big name singers. And so yeah, that album actually wasn't a big success. At least people liked it, but it wasn't a success like the Final Experiment. It's my dream come true, AYREON. I mean, I can make the music I want. People like it. I don't have to do compromises. I don't have to do concessions. I just do whatever comes up, however weird it is, and the fans are open for it. They're very open-minded. They're very loyal. It's not like if you have commercial success, they found someone else the next day. They'd be very loyal through these 25 years. So yeah, there are no lows, really. I can't think of any lows. Maybe now and then there's some problems with the record company, or there's some problems with a musician, where you have like friction or something. But no real huge problems. No, I can't say. It was just all highs, and even the albums that didn't do well are special for me, like Actual Fantasy and Theory of Everything and stuff like that. So no, really, my side project is a different thing. Maybe there are things there that I would have done differently, or I'm not 100% happy about. But all AYREON albums, if I look back, I'm really proud of each and every one. I mean, obviously, the first album, Final Experiment, I had to learn. I didn't have my own studio. I didn't have real instruments, so I had to take fake instruments from modules and things like that. No real violins, no real flutes, just all fake. So that's that was a bit crappy. Because I think Actual Fantasy was the album where I first had my own studio where I could record myself, and Electric Castle, I finally had enough money to hire real musicians like flutists and cello players and stuff. But no, apart from that, I'm proud of each album. Yeah, it was. I'm inspired by things like War of the Worlds, which had Phil Lynott and the guy from Moody Blues, and so that's what I wanted too. But I didn't know anyone. The only people I knew were from my Vengeance days. That was the band I played in before for 9 years. So those were the only contacts I had, the only singers I knew. So then we came in contact with Barry Hay of Golden Earring because he helped us with lyrics when I was in Vengeance. And we did a show in the city where he lives, and he came on stage to sing a song with us. And that was, Barry Hay was my hero. I mean, Golden Earring is the biggest band all Holland ever had, and I was a big fan and always loved his vocals. So I asked him for the final experiment, and I was like, well, Barry, I'm doing this rock opera, and he said, yeah, sure. So what do you want for it? Give me a bottle of whiskey. And I was like, okay. and he came over and he did such a great job, and that was the beginning of an addiction to work with my heroes, because it is an addiction. It's the best thing there is, to work with your heroes. People that you listened to when you were 12 years old, lying with your headphones, in the dark room and with candlelight, and suddenly they're in your studio singing your song. So Barry Hay Barry Hay said yes, we recorded it, and then I got courageous, and then I was like, okay, I got this song. It was called Eyes of Time, which was a very Led Zeppelin kind of song, and let's try Robert Plant. And of course I didn't get through there, and I was like, okay, Led Zeppelin. And then I came to Kingdom Come, who was of course as successful as Zeppelin at some point, and I think as great as Zeppelin. I mean, they made some fantastic songs. So just out of the blue, I contacted the singer and I sent him the song, and he loved the song, and he said, okay, I'll do it, I'll come over. And that worked too, Lenny Wolf, and he did a great job, and that was really the beginning of an addiction. And then the second album, Actual Fantasy, I didn't do that. I didn't ask big names. I had great singers there, but not big name singers. And then with Electric Castle, I realized I have to make something huge now, and I have to have some big names on it. And then I asked Fish, and I think that was the opening for AYREON when Fish did it. Because he did such a great job, and also people were like, okay, if Fish doing a project like that, it has to be good, so that's where the addiction of asking big names started. When I started with AYREON, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I still am a control freak, but I wanted them to do exactly what I wanted, and I had my melody lines and I had my lyrics, and they shouldn't be changed. That's the way they should do it. But then you work with Fish, and Fish is like, hey man, I don't feel like that, man. And I write my own lyrics. That was pretty good, my Scottish accent. And he did, he wrote his own lyrics, which was way better than I could have ever done. And he sang the songs totally in his own way. And when you work like with heroes like that, you realize like, okay, I have to let them free, because they come up with something better than what I would have come up with. So at that point, I started learning to let singers do their own thing. Not all singers. Some singers need guidance, and they need to follow the guide vocals that I give them. But other singers, you should just let them go, and I'm quite good at that. When I have a singer in my studio, I'm quite good at knowing how to guide the singer, how to get the best out of him, and to either give him freedom or to guide him. Thing is, once they're in my studio, it always works out. Not always when they send me their vocals, you know. Then when I'm not happy, we have a problem, because they did it in their own studio or in another studio and they send it to me. I'm not happy. You know, are they gonna redo it? Can they do a better job? There are times that didn't work out, unfortunately, that I had, and that's terrible, you know, because I have to call the singer and say, like, I'm not happy, I'm not gonna use it. You know, I'll pay you, but I'm not gonna use it. And that's terrible. But once they're in my studio, it always works out. Because even if they have problems with melody lines, which happens, of course, there are singers here and they can't do it, then you just work on it, you know. You get an acoustic guitar and try it like this. Oh yeah, cool. And what if you change the melody line like this, or you do it like this, or you put a harmony, or you double the vocals? Oh yeah, that's it, you know. And it's funny, often with singers I had problems with in the beginning, the session was way more fun than singers who come in and just do it. You know, then I remember Anneke van Giersberg with Electric Castle. You know, we started at 10 in the morning. I thought, we have all day. And at 11, we were like, I think we're ready. You know, everything is done within an hour. And it was like, okay, bye, Anneke. And it was like, oh. And of course, the result is amazing, you know. But some singers, I remember, I won't mention names, of course, but one singer took us 12 hours to get it down. But it was so much fun. And the result is great, you know. So yeah, once they're in my studio, I always make it good. Well, on the first album, Final Experiment, I sang because I didn't know any other singers. You know, I didn't know many. All the singers that I worked with are on there. All the singers of Vengeance and Bodine, my previous bands, and all the singers I could get a hold of are on there. But there were songs where I just didn't have a singer, so I just did it myself. Mm-hmm. So actually, Fancily, I didn't sing on. Electric Castle, I wasn't supposed to sing on. The part of the hippie, I was the fifth choice, actually. I think there were, who were the others? I started with Donovan. I mean, you have a hippie, you know. To have Donovan do that would be fantastic. And he said something like, I'm honored that you asked me, but I don't think I'm the right man for the job. You should ask John Anderson. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, that didn't work out. I even asked Stephen Wilson for that part. And he was like, a hippie? No way, I'm not going to be a hippie. And then I asked the singer of Duran Duran, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And he was interested, but he was afraid to do it. He said it's too different from what I do. So I was the fifth choice. No. I finally find a guy in Holland, and he sounded exactly like John Lennon. And he sang and he was totally unknown, and he sang all the songs, and it was fantastic. And the day after, I got a contract from him saying, you're not allowed to use my image, you're not allowed to put it on CD, to make a single of it. I want this and this, a percentage of your sales. And I was like, wait a minute. So I took like a red pen. I took his contract, a red pen, frost on it, sent it back to him. I said, I'll pay you, but I'm not going to use it. So forget it. I was quite childish in these days, you know. And the same evening I went to the studio and I sang all the parts myself, like really in anger, you know. So yeah, that's how I turned up on that album. And people liked it, and I was amazed, like, okay, people like the hippie. So albums after that, there are still a few albums where I do vocals myself, if I find the right part, you know, because I'm a limited singer. I mean, I can't sing like Dio, I can't sing metal or high or powerful with that vibrato and stuff. But lately, you know, I work with such great singers that there's just too many singers I want to work with, so I don't want to waste any of those parts on my own little voice. So, but yeah, you know, in the future, maybe if I find the right part, I'll sing. But I can always make a solo album, if I feel like doing that. Believe it or not, there's 200 singers. I counted them last time. 200 singers on my wish list. But it's getting shorter because they're kind of like getting very old or dying. So I shouldn't laugh about that. But I mean, let's face it, if I would have been able to work with Dio, and I tried, and we even met, he knew AYREON. And I even heard from a journalist that he did an album called Magica, which was his concept album. And he did that inspired by Electric Castle, believe it or not. Yeah, it's amazing when I heard that. The journalist told me, you must feel great that you inspired Ronnie J. I said, what? What are you saying? Yeah, that's what he told me. I said, do you still have the cassette? And he recorded it on a cassette. He's looking for the cassette where Dio says it. Because I still don't believe it. And once I have the cassette, I'm going to put it on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere. But I totally forgot the question. Am I answering it? But obviously on top of the list are the singers that I grew up listening to. Like I said, like the Dios and Robert Plant and Ian Gillan and David Gilmour and Kate Bush and all these really huge names, they're on top of the list. Ian Anderson, Geddy Lee, I don't know. They're my heroes, so that's truly a dream come true. But of course, there are also a lot of new singers that I hear now, that I'm like, whoa, this is a great new singer, and I write everything down, and so yeah, it's a very mixed bunch of singers. But I unfortunately I found that getting singers outside the prog and the metal realm is virtually impossible. I told you about Donovan or Duran Duran or even Kate Bush or Gilmour or whatever. Metal and prog are still dirty words for a lot of people. And concept album, I don't know. Sometimes I came close to a name outside of our world, and then they hear it's a concept album. They're like, oh no, I don't want to be part of it. So I guess that's why they call us progressive, because we'd be open for that, If I hate hip hop, but if a hip hop guy would contact me, hey man, I love AYREON, we have this hip hop song, you fuck, and I want you to play solo it, I'd do it in a heartbeat. It would be a challenge. It would be cool to do it. It would be something for me, something progressive. So, but unfortunately, it's hard to get singers, mainstream singers, basically. Well, definitely, it all started with Jesus Christ Superstar, as I mentioned earlier. I think I was 10 or 11, and I heard that album. At first, I didn't like it because my mother liked it. You're not supposed to like what your mother likes. I think times have changed now. I often get mails from really young kids who say like, hey, my father played me AYREON and I love it, But in my days, it was like, you like it, then I don't like it, They liked like ABBA, and it was like, So, getting lost in a story, a concept album with lots of singers and really escapism, really an extra dimension to the music. War of the Worlds is another one with Jeff Wayne and of course Richard Burton narrating, Phil Lynott singing. Tommy was great. So as far as AYREON is concerned, those were my examples. And of course, there's like the Holy Trinity, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, and Zeppelin, which are that's my top three. And add like bands like Rainbow and Black Sabbath and Uriah Heep and yes, Genesis, Jethro Tull, whatever. So yeah, my roots definitely lie in the early 70s, first half of the 70s, and late 60s, like the Beatles. Well, there's so many highlights, as I said before. The first highlight, of course, was Final Experiment become a success, totally unexpected. And then it was Electric Castle really breaking through to the big audience, and the live shows we did, and the reactions of the fans were truly amazing. I mean, selling out 12,000 tickets in a day, and then having them 12,000 people come from 65 countries. I mean, that's truly a highlight. And really, every album I do has to be a highlight for me. Otherwise, I would stop. That's basically it. Well, obviously, that movie would be great if that would happen. It's still a guess, if it will happen, because it's a lot of money, a lot of time, and it's. As I keep saying, it's not a mainstream project. It's not the mainstream audience. There maybe some will try it out, but it's weird music, so it's going to be hard to get that done. But who knows? There is an audience. Like with Final Experiment, no one knew there were an audience. It was the days of grunge, of Pearl and Pearl Jam and Nirvana and those kind of bands. So no one knew there was an audience for a rock opera, progressive rock opera. So maybe it's the same now. I mean, people who grew up in the 70s with my influences, they're 50, 60 as well right now, And so yeah, I think that would be fantastic if the movie would be made. And apart from that, getting people from my wish list, doing new projects with new people, and trying to keep it special for myself. Trying to keep finding challenges. That's very important.